Hi, I'm Seth Freuberg. I'm the Director of Options Training here at SMBU in Manhattan, and I'm also the head trader of SMB Capital's Options Trading Desk. So I wanted to talk about realistic return expectations on options income trading this week. And this is prompted by an email from obviously a sincere person who asked me if it was possible to make $500 a week on a $5,000 account. Now, typically, I'll get an email like this in from someone who, is weighing their career options basically, and if they could actually earn a nice living trading, they'd rather do that than whatever they're doing for their career. So it's an understandable question. So I'd like to talk to you about the answer, because it doesn't sound that outrageous, right? Make $500 a week trading, that should be possible. But we're not talking about day trading here. We're talking about options income trading, which is the kind of trading style we use on our trading desk. And you've got to get realistic with your expectations. Let's just think about $500 a week on $5,000. $500 a week on $5,000 is 10% return on an account a week, okay? So that means, if you do the math, it's a 520% return a year. 52 weeks times 10%. 520% a year return. Now, anybody who's looked up the rates on a certificate of deposit in a bank, which is one of the very safest things you can buy, it's under 1%. You're lucky to get, I saw a top 10 list today of 1-year CDs online, and one of the listings was 0.8%. That was on the top 10 list of best returns for a CD. So you can either give these people $5,000 and you'll get back what, 0.8% of $5,000. So what is that? $40. Or you could trade and get $500 a week. It's just it's the comparison is too big of a gap. There's too big of a gap there in what's realistic. Now, there are guys out there who will tell you that you can do just that. You put up $5,000 and I'll show you a way to make $500 a week. Those people are what are called snake oil salesmen. They're like this guy. And what they're really like is this guy, who will turn you upside down and empty the cash out of your pockets, because it's not realistic in options income trading. It's not even close to realistic. Can someone come up with the trade that sometimes will make 10% a week? Yeah. In fact, I know traders who trade weekly options, and having a 10% week on the capital deployed in that option, in that particular strategy, I should say, is doable. But what you're not going to hear about is the next week where you lost 40% of that capital, because weekly trades have something called gamma in them, a very, very high level of gamma. And just as quickly as they can give you a lot of money, they can also take a lot of money out of your pocket also. So yes, you will hear about trades where you can make 10% in a week, but you have to look at it over an annual period. And it is not at all likely that you will have a 520% return on any options income strategy, even weeklies, which can run over 100% a year if you know what you're doing. It's just not going to be realistic to get to that high of a level. You're not really going to get close. The trader graveyard is filled with people who made 10% a week for 6-7 weeks in a row, and that absolutely can happen. And then they increase their capital, and then in week 7, they have an 80% loss. So now they've had an 80% loss on a larger capital base, so they wipe out everything they made and then some. So that is a great formula to blow up, and therefore that's why it's so important to have reasonable expectations, because you can get lucky in the beginning of your trading career, ramp up your capital, it will wipe you out, and then the worst thing will happen, which is you'll start thinking that trading is a hoax, that it never was real in the first place, and that's not true. I know many people who make a living trading, but that's because they learned properly and they started with proper expectations. So there are some real strategies and real legitimate options income strategies that will return 1% a month, which is still spectacular compared to a CD. It's 12 times what you'll make in a CD, okay? And I know some strategies that you can make 7, 8, 9, 10% a month if you become confident. And on that high end, you have to be willing to have some risk tolerance, which many people do not. That is more of a realistic range. Now, on our trading desk, the average trader makes 30, 31% a year. So that is, 2.5%, something like that a month. That's the average trader. There are people quite a bit better than that. There are people not quite as good as that, okay? But that is a more realistic expectation. Just think about 30% a year. Any Wall Street investment bank, if you ran a fund of equities for them and you told them you could return consistently 30% a year, they'd have to hire you in a second, all right? And so even though we're not making 520% a year, we're making a realistic level of return that is a realistic scenario to set up for yourself in your mind for your trading career. So then all you have to do is solve for capital, basically. If you know that's a number you can get to if you become confident, if you are mentored properly, if you take the proper coursework and you're serious about it and you have a passion for it and you're diligent and you have some tolerance for risk, these are all the ingredients necessary. If you have all of that, yeah, you have a shot at getting on a trading desk somewhere and having someone give you capital. Then making $500 a week, not of your own $5,000, but maybe of someone else's multi-hundreds of thousands of dollars, still you can achieve your income goals. So I want to really basically give everyone an opportunity to get real and have real expectations, because if you have unreal expectations and you take that out to its logical conclusion, you will not trade for a living. If you start out with an unrealistic expectation, you then enter very, very risky trades, you get a little lucky, and then the normal statistical misfortune happens, and then you'll give back everything you made and more. You'll think trading's a hoax and you'll just quit. That's what happens if you have unrealistic expectations. If you start with realistic expectations and build, and you do have to build to become someone who can make an average of 2.5% a month. You've got to build to get that good, to get consistently at that level. Then there are going to be people who are going to want you to work for them and trade their capital. So it's much better to start with realistic expectations, have a solid game plan for a mentoring and coursework curriculum, and then set up a solid foundation for your trading career. Then you can be long-term successful as a trader. So I hope that helps. Hope that gives you all an opportunity to set your expectations realistically and get you set off onto your trading career. So thanks, and we'll see you next week.